Hey, hey, beautiful people. It is July the 1st, 2016 at 12:50 p.m. Well, welcome to the conclusion of the second half of the Great Tribulation. um, it's kind of hard to find a place today to do video because everywhere I went, everybody's out for the 4th of July holiday, and all my favorite places are kind of taken by other persons who got there first. Anyway, what a trip it's been. This has been 7 years that we will be concluding in September since I was called to do my very first public speaking in a long time back in September 2009. And that was actually just after the 999 gate activation. And we powered up the ancient Atlantean crystals to 25% back in, that was September the 9th of 2009. And then I was told to come out and speak publicly, but because of the history of what had gone on this planet prior to that time, and how many people were locked up for being crazy, for speaking about these same things that so many people talk about now. And it's all cool now, but back then it was kind of a very dangerous game. And really, that is what the tribulation was all about, was the unveiling, the opening of the eyes, the apocalypse of humanity, the awakening. That's really what it was about. The 7 years of tribulation was about the 7 years that it took the collective of humanity to come into its awakening. And as I look back at the whole thing, how perfect all the dates and how it all was, and even to what it is now in continuation of the prophecies, because what we're getting ready to go into, nobody knows. That is like the end of all the holy book's prophecies, is at the end of the tribulation. It's the awakening and unveiling of what's going on, and that the planetary collective realizes that they've got some control in what's happening. Brexit, that happened right around June 21st, 22nd, right in through that time period, that is on the same dates. See, that's what blows my mind, is the dates. But the Brexit happened right about the summer solstice, and that was the beginning of the collectives taking back their power. And that's the beginning of the ending of all this global control by the corporations and the Illuminati. And the going back to what I was saying about the holy books and prophecies, nobody sees past that point into the future of where we're gonna be, what we're gonna do, and how it's gonna look. And believe me, I can't either. Just because I was one of the fractals of Archangel Michael, who was a timekeeper and told, come out now and set that shift into motion. The beginning of the tribulation, the beginning of the 7 years. And that was the 22nd of September in 2009 was when I channeled that message from Archangel Michael and was told to begin the dates right then. And I gave the halfway point, which would be February 19th through 22nd of 2013, as being the halfway point of the tribulation. And literally on February 22nd of 2013, Pope Benedict resigned. and, and that was the halfway point. That was the beginning of the second half of the tribulation. Well, that ends here in September of 2016. There's many persons that say that it's going to continue into 2017, and of course it is. But the great awakening of humanity, the unveiling, the apocalypse, that's what has really gone down this whole past 7 years. And as I look back at all the dates, it's just freaking amazing how every quarter something happened all the way through. I mean, on perfect timing, just like it's like ding ding, that cycle of time is come to completion. Something happens, and then we go into the next levels. And with the Brexit, we're entering the final stages, the final quarter of the second half of the Great Tribulation, and it's just amazing to see. And so the final quarter goes from the summer solstice, when Brexit happened, to July 22nd, August 22nd, and then September 22nd. And the awakening and the taking back of the planet, the awakening to what's going on, the Illuminati's global control of this planet, and humanity's awakening to that, and many of theirs awakening to their spiritual side, that will have gone into completion by September of this year. You can see it all around you, everywhere we look. People are starting to realize that this system is it's not right. We've all been enslaved by the banking system and the money and the corporate governments and their domination and declaration of ownership of all the humans on this planet, which you don't own me. A lot of people are waking up going, you don't own them either. And literally that's what the Vatican did. What was it, 490 years ago? Is they declared ownership of all the souls of the planetary population. And the Vatican ended up creating a lot of mass genocide on this planet and killing off a lot of people. And we all know that, there's no real death unless that's your true consciousness belief, that once you drop body, unless you've got this firm belief that that's the end of it, then which many souls do. And that's why a lot of us who can visit the astral realms and purgatory can see souls trapped in those levels. Now, persons awakening to what's going on and taking back their power, the Illuminati really have no more control over that, because we don't believe them in having any control or power over us. And that's what this Great Awakening's been all about. Part of it, anyway. The other part's been about the exposing of the government and what they've been doing, and about all the dark programs, about the mind control agendas, about how they are shifting and keeping reality in check, because our thought and our emotion is what creates the experience that we have. And when we take back our power via awakening, and we realize that this is a quantum universe, and that our thoughts and our emotions and this energetic light body that we have is the key to manifestation of the reality that we individually wish to experience, then they lose their power. And they've done everything they can to keep the vibrations lower. In the first half of the Great Tribulation, from 2009 to early 2013, till February 22nd, 2013, there was a huge battle. I mean, huge battle that was going on during that time. So many of us that were on the front lines, that were awake and aware, and that were speaking openly about these things to the collective, waking them up. We were not only taking hits from the collective that didn't want to be awoken, we were getting hacked and cracked by the government and all the trolls and the cyber warfare teams that are trained by the military, and having our bank accounts taken, or having, it was just over and over and over. And then by the end of 2012 and beginning of 2013, that eased up because so many people on the planet were waking up, and they too were taking over this, doing the things, the exposés and the hacking and cracking many of the others of us had been previously doing. And it was unstoppable at that point. It snowballed all the way up until the Brexit, up until Britain's exit from the European Union, which now so many other of the countries want to exit the European Union too. And that too is snowballing. And what's going to happen afterwards? I don't know. We're watching the global currencies collapse. We're watching Russia and China right now purposely collapsing theirs. But we're also watching the stock markets go down in all these government-supported, subsidized entities. And when I say entities, I'm talking corporations, because they think of, the government thinks of corporations as persons, or persons as corporations. And they subsidize those corporations, and that's how they channel money out of the system. And really and truly, it's might be money, but it's funny money. It's not. In fact, all money's funny money. I don't even believe in money, but we still have this concept of needing it right now as humanity. And that's what's getting ready to happen in these next years, is we have to shift what it is we believe as being our reality into a new reality. And each one of us in all the collective, we are all creating our own experience. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about any of us creating our own experience. We're all doing it. If humanity is having a bad experience, then that's because they're creating it themselves. But as a collective, we do this too. And as a collective, we have to determine how far we're going to go into our vision of New Earth and create new rules of what we believe is reality is. Because it's a quantum universe. It's all consciousness, energy that's experiencing itself through consciousness, which becomes polarities, or opposite poles, positive and negative if you want, plus and minus, which slows itself into frequencies, which becomes light and sound and matter and the material world that we experience. But at the height of it, it's consciousness, and it's in that consciousness state that we are all one, that we are all coming from that singularity. But we are each individuals in having our individual experience, and nobody can really share the magic that I witness and have in my life. They might be able to see it here and there. 1414 as I look down. They might be able to see it when they're watching a video or being beside me and witnessing what's going on in the nature around me, but they can never have the same magical experience that I am experiencing, nor can I have the one that they're experiencing, that you're experiencing. And so therein, we are separate. And that's what's so interesting about so many light workers now, with the Britain's exit of the European Union, and they're saying it's just taken us into more separation and duality, when that's not exactly true. Having individual power, self-power, and being given the ability to create, manifest that which the individual wishes to create and manifest without obstruction, and influence, undue influence by the greater so-called powers that were, or powers that be, the Illuminati. By removing that control, then we get to have a greater and more richer experience ourselves. Yes, it's going to be difficult as we shift through. Just like any time that you go on a new mission, say you're an explorer and you want to explore this whole new area of Alaska. Well, you don't know what you're going to get into, so you got to kind of take so much of what you know works with you, and then pack it all up, and then move it to wherever you're going, hiking out to wherever you're going to, and do your explorations. It's never easy. It's always difficult. You don't know where you're going and what you're going to get into. But therein is part of the fun of the game right there. A lot of the collective likes ease and to have everything normalized, and they know what to expect. Well, those guys aren't adventurers, and they're not going to be the ones leading the pack. It's never been the guys that sit on their butts, and they don't really come up with a whole lot of new things. They're the ones that are just getting used to Earth School. Those of us that have been here over and over again, and that were called to be the first wave, well, we are the adventurers. We came here as volunteers to shift the collective, and we couldn't do it by sitting on our butts. We couldn't do it by being scared and saying, oh, if we open our mouth, then they can come lock us up, and that's the end of our existence here. Like happened to so many people before 2009, and really up until 2012, because a lot of people were still having problems up in through that time period. Well, we are at the final 3 months of second half of the Great Tribulation. I would imagine that we're going to see all these fiat currencies collapsing, and see, although people believe at this time in precious metals of having a value, silver and gold as having a value, and they want to claim those precious metals as being what we can use for money. We can use matchsticks for money. We could use leaves for money. We could use grass. We can use anything for money. It's just what are we willing to accept in exchange for our energy and our creations and that which we have to trade. And but we've got to get over this concept of using money. It's not that money is evil by any means, but money is not currency. You and I are the currencies. Money is an exchange of a representation of our currency, but that currency can never, ever, 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 ever represent the light and frequency in my field. And in the light and frequency in my field versus the light and frequency in your field, or the light and frequency in everybody else's field, there's no way that money as a representation of that currency will ever make it equal. That's an impossibility. It can't happen. So eventually we've got to get over this concept of needing to play with money And back to, it's about our manifestation, which is how long we can hold our intent of the thought and the vision that of that which we wish to manifest, how we speak it to invoke it and cast the spell, and how we feel it, and how we're connected to Father Sky and Mother Earth, being grounded to complete the electric circuit which allows that manifestation to come into play. Only manifestation is a true representation of the individual's currency. That's it. And like I've said many times before, we're going to go into materialization, the taking of the energy of our field and bringing it into form right in front of us. That's where we're going. And as far as what's been going on with me these past few months, on the winter solstice, I got bit by a spider. And there was a wave of spiders that were seen attacking me when I got bit by that spider. I've been asked if I thought it was nanobots by people. I've never seen spiders attack, much less attack in waves. Many persons remember my videos with Tom Artemis, who was hit by a swarm of yellow flies. And then I've had several other friends that have been hit by other swarms of strange bugs and flesh-eating bacterias and stuff. And there's some weird stuff going on out there. Do I want to admit it's nanobots or robotics or ET technology? I don't want to admit that, but it sure looks like it. And it sure has hit a lot of the lightworker teams lately. That's very, very interesting how that happened. But anyway, yeah, I was paralyzed. My whole right side was paralyzed for about 6 weeks, from the winter solstice 2015 till first week in February 2016. And that was a very strange experience. I've never been paralyzed before. But literally, I couldn't pick anything up. I couldn't write. I couldn't hold a pen. I couldn't carry any weight. I could not use my right hand, right side. And the neurotoxins, I got bit right here, and the neurotoxins went up to my forefinger, and then down to my thumb, and then out to this side, and then into my elbow. And you can still see that there's a ball, a clump of it, right in that elbow. And then it went up my right side and down into right up under my rib cage, and split up and went all over my back and into my backbone right around the L3, and then down in my legs. I've never experienced poisons doing that before. But I went to Carolyn Puckett, Princess Monty, who messaged me when I realized, this is really tightening all the fascia in my lower back and causing my back to do some cramping like I've never experienced it. I was in pretty severe pain for a long time, and then I was looking for Rolfers, and she was like, when do you come and see me? And we had not had personal contact other than being friends on Facebook, and I looked at her page, and it showed that she was a myofascial release technician, and she had been in 3 years of consistent downloads, a constant download for 3 years on how to heal myofascia, how to release it on a quantum level. And so anyway, right as I was looking for Rolfer, she messaged me. And I was like, well, that's pretty interesting. So I went down and saw her, and she said that when I told her about the spiders, she was like, yeah, that was implant technology, and it was done on purpose. And I've had several persons that tell me that. I just have a hard time accepting it myself. But anyway, she did her work and she was absolutely amazing. And ever since she did that work almost a month ago now, I've been healing and my body's getting better and better and better. But what had happened to me, and the reason why I laid off the videos, is because I got hit really hard. And then I went into Swiss Endo. It was right at the same time as I was being asked to join Swiss Endo. And again, that's another thing too. So many light workers are listening to so many messages out there and they just believe everything. And they're not really going into their hearts and discerning things. And there's a lot of new light workers that's appeared on the scene in the past year and a half. Well, during the second half of the Great Tribulation, which are giving all kinds of messages, which, generally when the message is right, I'm going to resonate with it. But I'm not resonating with a lot of these messages that are out there. And that's another something Monty did. She gave me a pendulum, which my messages back in 2009 were, don't use the tools. Receive direct. Know it from your heart. See it with your third eye. And then meditate on it and see if it's the correct information. Well, in the past 6 months, that had shifted. And there's so much chaos as people are waking up that I wasn't getting absolutely pure messages. See how it says no? Anytime it's going this way, that means no. So I was not getting pure messages. And anyway, Monty gave me this, and that was my first pendulum. And so I started questioning a lot of these messages that so many people are bringing on about a galactic or collective ascension event. And every time I ask, my original knowing is, it's not happening. It's not going to go down that way. And then I would ask the pendulums, and this is a pendulum I made. I'm pearls to you. Well, I used to be a pearl dealer, and so I make my own pendulums. This was an earring. Then I went, that would that'd make a really good little pendulum right there, and it works fantastic. But anyway, since my messages were coming in so cloudy, and it's ever since the winter solstice, since I got bit by the spider, I went into Swiss Endo, and everybody's saying, we're getting ready to have this change on the planet, and it's, we're going to have all these finances through M1, the comptroller of currency, Bapak Sugi, and he would be responsoring all the currencies of the world. My messages were, that's incorrect. And I constantly listen to that heart message. It's what they were saying doesn't resonate, and it's not a completion of my energy field. And then I could ask using a pendulum, is Swiss Endo correct? Nope, absolutely not. Side to side. Is Swiss Endo on the up and up? Nope, absolutely not. And so all my messages that so many people were telling me, man, Bill, you just must be off. Which, I felt off these past 6 months. Since all 2016, I've not felt exactly on target because I'm so empathic to the chaos that's going on out there with everybody as they're waking up. Well, which is mine and which is theirs, you know? And that's the cool thing about using the pendulums, because I already knew to really meditate on my own messages and decide whether it's true for me from that perspective or not, when it never was. And to have the pendulums, then that gives me the confirmation where I know my messages are absolutely correct. Now, did the tribulation begin in September of 2009? Yep, sure did. Does the tribulation end? Is it brought to completion in September of 2016? Yes. Okay, so, you know, all these old messages that I've had for so long now, and again, you know, I have to say that all of this is just from my energy field. My view on the tribulation and when it began has to do with me. And it could be absolutely different from you. When I wrote that Welcome to the First Half of the Great Tribulation, I said within these next months, short time period, I didn't give an exact time period, but it turned out to be 6 months afterwards. right there at it was the 20th of April in 2010. The Gulf oil spill happened, and I always knew I was going to be a part of the biblical bottomless pit, and to me that had to do with oil, and I thought it was going to be in Kuwait, where Saddam had lit the oil fires, that would be the place where it would happen. But literally the Gulf oil spill unfolded 75 miles south of here, and the oil sheen went everywhere, and it's still coming out. But an interesting thing, the cracks that they had, and I wrote all about it in that first channeled message in September 22nd of 2009. Welcome to the first half of the Great Tribulation. I said the biblical bottomless pit is getting ready to unfold, and I had no idea that it was going to be here, but I made that statement within that message that I brought forth, and literally in April of 2010 the oil spill happened, and I knew what it was when it happened. I mean, instantly. And I've got a lot of stories about my experiences during those days, and about going out and doing meditation to push the oil out, and about how that oil never came in through here until I left to go to Sedona, and then it hit. But one of the things that the corrects that allowed the afternoon rains, we have convection rains here on the Gulf, and the ocean will evaporate and turn into clouds, and the clouds move on land on the hot areas, and then we have the rains. Well, the Corexit was allowing the oil to evaporate up, and then we had oil rains for months and months and months afterwards, and I was documenting all that, and then going to a lot of the newspapers and television stations and asking them to make it public news, and they wouldn't do it. And I'd post it on Facebook, and people were getting to see my experience of the Gulf oil spill, biblical bottomless pit, BP, BP bottomless pit, that was unfolding right in my front yard, and what it was doing to all the plants. We lost so many plants during that time. It was killing off the trees. It was literally raining acid. In my first day's experience of that, I was on the roof in natural food store doing air conditioning work, and it started raining that afternoon. I was like, why am I blistering? And I was getting off the roof, and I was watching the cars drive down the road, and it looked like as they were driving through the water, we had, little soap bubbles everywhere. And it was scrubbing bubbles. And it was most bizarre. And this went on for months and months and months. Well, guess what? And that Brexit killed so many of the fishes and the pogie, menhaden, and the oysters, and those are the bait fish for the larger fishes, and it goes all the way up into the dolphins. Well, this year it's all coming back, and this year we're having convection rains again. For the years after they quit spraying the Brexit, we had oil sheen all over the Gulf. And the oil sheen would not allow the water to evaporate and form the clouds, which came in as the convection rains in the afternoon. This summer, we're having rains again. And that's really cool. And all the fish are starting to come back. And the Gulf is waking up, and it's changing color again. And it's not that black underlyment. It's going back to the brown, greenish brown, almost Coke bottle green that it is naturally here. And so everything is healing as the planet and the collective is waking. And that was 6 years ago now, and it's finally coming back. And I'm seeing it in the animals and the trees and the plants. And see, that was another thing. It was the Gulf oil spill was changing the fauna around here, because everything was used to before always having afternoon rains. And so we really had a 6-year drought when only major storms were coming through, bringing moisture into someplace else, from someplace else rather than the Gulf. Then all that's shifting back to normal now. So that's really cool. Well, back to pendulums and newbies messages. Yeah, there's a lot of persons out there that keep talking about an ascension event, or a third wave of ascension that we're all waiting on to happen, or even Swiss Indo monies. I checked with the pendulum, which I never used before, and it's saying I'm correct here. In those messages, in my messages have been on target for me. I can't say that they're on target for anybody else. Now it's going no. So very interesting how my messages are always on target for me, and now it's going back to yes, but my messages are not on target for everybody else. Is that correct? I'm getting a no. Are my messages perfect for everybody? Yes. Are my messages good for everybody? Yes. Are the other light workers saying the event's going to happen? Are their messages correct? No. Is Swiss Indo on the up and up? Will Swiss Indo ever manifest to give out the currencies to help change humanity? No. Is the Saint Germain Trust real? Yes. Very interesting. Has the total collapse of the global monetary system got to happen before we can have St. Germain's Trust funds released. Yes. So, there you have it. Same thing I've always said. Question is, if I use a pendulum and I'm holding and asking that the answers be completely in truth from my energy field, and that the pendulum's answers are in that complete truth, would everybody asking the same question from their energy field receive the answers that I receive? No. So, what this tells me is your answers are good for you, and my answers are good for me, just like this being the final months of the Great Tribulation. It is for me. But is it for you? Well, that's up to you. Oh, man. And so, anyway, my video, I'm starting to run low on battery power, and that's what that was all about. So, I'm just going to go ahead and say, welcome to the last quarter of the Great Tribulation. For me! If it's for you too, congratulations. We're over some major stuff now. And for me, it's time to relax. I went through 7 years of really putting myself out front and in the forefront with humanity, and taking some hard hits, and living out away from my family and comforts and stuff like that. And I'm enjoying being back home with my family and having all the comforts. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to go out to the woods and back to the farm and back out to the wilderness again soon. But for now, I'm enjoying my time and my peace, and my recoup, because that's what it is for me. I'm recouping. Anyway, love y'all. If this is the ending of your Great Tribulation and awakening too, congratulations. That it's going to be for everybody, for a lot of us, though. Yeah. For the first wavers, especially. Anyway, love y'all. Bye for now.